If you've been scrolling through endless lists of alto saxophones and still can't decide which one actually makes sense for your needs, this review is going to clear that up. I've spent the last few weeks comparing a handful of pro-level models, reading forums, and even talking to a couple of college band directors. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing that trips most players up when they step into the professional tier is the feeling that a higher price automatically guarantees a perfect instrument. In reality, the jump from intermediate to professional is as much about subtle response and long-term reliability as it is about raw sound. The Yamaha YAS 62III sits squarely in that transition zone, promising the kind of consistency that gig musicians and serious students rely on. But it also brings a set of compromises that only become clear after you play it in a real rehearsal or performance setting. Let's start with the everyday scenario most saxophonists face, a long practice session followed by a night gig. The YAS 62III's keywork feels solid from the first note, and the action is smooth enough that you can run up fast passages without fighting the mechanics. That reliability is a product of Yamaha's long-standing engineering approach, where each key is balanced to reduce the effort required to close the tone holes. For a player who spends an hour or more each day on scales, arpeggios, and repertoire, that reduction in finger fatigue can translate into a noticeable improvement in endurance, especially during those marathon rehearsals where you're moving from low BB down to the high F sharp without a break. Tone is the next big question, and it's where the silver-plated descriptor starts to matter. The plating gives the instrument a brighter, more projecting voice compared to the classic yellow-gold finishes you see on older Yamaha models. In a jazz combo, that brightness helps the alto cut through a piano and drums without sounding thin, while in a concert band the same characteristic adds a crisp edge that blends nicely with the woodwinds. I tried the sax in both contexts. In a small club setting the sound carried well to the back of the room, and in a rehearsal hall the intonation stayed stable across the low, middle, and high registers, meaning fewer adjustments for the player when moving from a soft ballad to an up-tempo swing piece. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs that often don't show up in spec sheets. The silver plating, while attractive, does require a bit more care. It's more prone to showing fingerprints and light scratches, so you'll want to keep a polishing cloth handy and avoid leaving the instrument in humid environments for extended periods. The finish also adds a fraction of a pound to the overall weight, which isn't a deal-breaker but can be felt if you're used to a lighter student model. Additionally, because the YAS 62III is positioned as a professional instrument, the initial setup out of the box assumes a certain level of maintenance know-how. The neck cork may need a quick adjustment after a few weeks of playing, and the pads will eventually require professional replacement, something that a brand new intermediate sax typically won't demand for the first few years. Who should consider pulling the trigger on this sax? If you're an advanced high school student aiming for a college audition, a university music major who needs an instrument that can handle both orchestral excerpts and jazz improvisation, or a gigging professional who can't afford to have intonation drift during a set, the YAS 62III offers a level of consistency that pays off in practice time and performance confidence. It's also a solid choice for a serious hobbyist who already owns a decent intermediate sax and wants to step up without jumping to a custom hand-engraved model that costs double or triple the price. On the flip side, if you're just starting out, the price point alone may be a barrier, and the level of care required could feel overwhelming. Beginners often benefit more from a slightly lighter instrument with a more forgiving tone that encourages longer practice without the need for immediate professional servicing. Similarly, a player who only performs in a single genre, say, exclusively marching band, might find a dedicated marching model with a lighter body and a different bore shape a better fit than the all-around versatility of the YAS 62III. Practical strengths, summed up, are the reliable key action, consistent intonation across the entire range, and a bright, projecting sound that adapts well to both small ensembles and larger ensembles. The instrument's ergonomics are also worth noting. The key layout is familiar to anyone who has played a Yamaha before, which reduces the learning curve when you upgrade. As for weaknesses, the silver finish demands more regular polishing. The instrument is a bit heavier than some competitors, and the upfront cost means you'll need to budget for professional setup and future pad work sooner rather than later. In the end, buying a professional saxophone is as much about the long-term relationship you'll have with the instrument as it is about the immediate sound you hear on the showroom floor. The Yamaha YAS 62III delivers a